So let's say, for example, like you built a car from the ground up. If you made that car without anybody having to tell you or without you having to look at the driver's manual, you know whether that car takes propane, gas, or diesel. Because you made the engine, you know exactly what it runs on, right? So in that same understanding, whoever created the universe, whoever created the earth, the planets, the stars, that creator knows what is best for me and you. The same way you know if you made a car, if it's best to give it propane, gas, or diesel. The Christians, when they take Jesus, who was born of a woman, who had to eat and drink and use the washroom, when he was limited in his knowledge, he didn't have all knowledge according to the Bible. When he couldn't do anything by himself, he says that I of my own self can do nothing. This is not what we understand God to be. God is all powerful, God is all knowing, God is all wise. So we can't think that Jesus, a human being who's limited, is equal to the Creator. So if you believe that and you die upon that belief, that's committing idol worship. God won't forgive that. Prophet Noah was born a long time ago. If we were born during that time, we would have to follow the Prophet Noah. If we were born during the time of the Prophet Jesus, peace be upon him, we would have to follow the Prophet Jesus, peace be upon him. But now in this time, in 2023, me and you are born in the time of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. So we have to follow the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and what the Creator revealed to him as being that guidance. And that guidance is the last and final revelation, the Quran.
We don't understand that.
Okay.
Yeah.
But do you see how the same way you wouldn't believe somebody that said that their phone didn't have a designer, it wasn't made, you wouldn't believe that person.
No.
So the same way we say your body being so complex and has all these functions, and even like when you're asleep, your heart doesn't stop beating, so it just works on its own without you thinking about it. And when you cut yourself, it heals itself without you having to think about it. And that's just your body and how complex your body is, right? Then you take that to the universe, the planets, the stars, the moon, gravitational constants, the speed of light, the constant of the speed of light, all of these things that are clear design factors in the universe. It doesn't make sense that that came randomly, that came out of nowhere, that came from nothing. It makes more sense that because you see intelligence in its design, that it has a designer behind it. You understand? Yeah.
Yeah. It's a flavor out there, but we don't know yet.
Okay. So let's say, for example, right, that you made a car, right? Like you built a car from the ground up, right? Now, if you made that car without anybody having to tell you or without you having to look at the driver's manual, you know whether that car takes propane, gas, or diesel. Because you made the engine, you know exactly what it runs on, right? So in that same understanding, whoever created the universe, whoever created the earth, the planets, the stars, whoever created us human beings, that creator that created everything, that creator knows what is best for me and you. The same way you know if you made a car, if it's best to give it propane, gas, or diesel, right? So in that understanding, we believe that because we see design in the universe, design in our own bodies, and then it being so complex that it's more complex than the phone, so we can't assume that the phone has a designer, and it's not more complex than our bodies, and it's not more complex than the universe. So then by logic, we assume that our body has a designer and the universe has a designer. Now, who is that designer, like you mentioned, right? Who is that designer?
Creator up there.
Right. So what we believe is that designer, he is one.
Only one person.
So only one being, one supreme.
One huge real person.
Oh yeah. This designer, he didn't create me and you for no reason. He didn't just put us on earth for us to eat, drink, go through the processes of being a human being, and then die, and then that's it. That's not our purpose in this life, right?
There are more purposes.
There's more purpose than that, exactly. So Allah, the creator, Allah just means Allah means God in Arabic. The creator is Al-Khaliq. But Allah, Al-Khaliq, the creator, He tells us in the Quran, which is the final revelation to mankind, that me and you, we were not created except for one reason. And that reason is to worship and to know the creator, to listen to what He tells us to do, and to stay away from what He tells us to stay away from, so that we can be successful on something called a day of judgment.
Yes. Sometimes I get back in my mind, I mean, what the wrong decisions on that.
Okay.
I come right back into my mind. Damn, I should know better.
Right. Okay, yeah. So what we say is perhaps that is your fitrah. Your fitrah is your natural inclination to know and recognize that there is a God, that there is a creator, that there is a designer to you and to the universe, right? So you are, in essence, reaching and trying to find who that creator is, right? Because you have that wake-up call, like, I should be better, right? So what we say is, if there is a creator that created everything and all that exists, and if our purpose is to worship Him and to know Him and to do what's right and to not do what's wrong, how do we know what that is? So what He did is, He, the creator, He sent many prophets and messengers throughout human history to help guide me and you to something called the straight path, which is the good path, the stuff that is good.
Good and they're bad. You have choice.
Exactly.
So my choice is good. Good. Some people want to go bad with it.
Exactly.
So there are some people that really think they do bad and make it worse.
Yeah.
For other people.
Yeah. Exactly. So when you have that intention to do what's right instead of doing what's wrong, you want to make sure that you have a clear criteria, so that you are not doing wrong when you think you're doing right, or you think you're doing wrong when you're actually doing good, right? So how do we know what that is? The prophets, peace be upon all of them, they were given guidance from the Creator to give us a message, and that message is the same message that they all said, which is your God is one God. He doesn't have any idols with Him. He doesn't have any partners, meaning don't bow down to a statue, don't bow down to a human being, don't bow down to an animal, don't worship these things from the creation. Instead, worship the Creator directly and follow the prophet of your time, right? So if me and you were born in the time of the prophet Noah, for example, the prophet Noah was born a long time ago. If we were born during that time, we would have to follow the prophet Noah. If we were born during the time of the prophet Jesus, peace be upon him, we would have to follow the prophet Jesus, peace be upon him. But now in this time, in 2023, me and you are born in the time of the prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. So we have to follow the prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and what the Creator revealed to him as being that guidance. And that guidance is the last and final revelation, the Quran. So the Quran, if for example, do you know what the Bible is?
Yeah, I got a Bible at home.
So you have a Bible at home. So in the Bible, there's the Old Testament and there's the New Testament, right? So the Quran is that last testament, that final testament, the last source of revelation from the Creator to mankind, so that me and you can be guided to that straight path.
Yes, I get that in my conscience sometimes. Get through that. I get that in my conscience. You have before I went right or left, I stopped and get back in my conscience and try to go right path.
Yeah, that's good, that because it seems like you want to make sure that what you do is going to be a good thing, right? Now imagine if, for example, if you had something that told you this is definitely good, this is definitely wrong. If you had a clear criteria for that, your life would be very easy in knowing what is wrong and what is good, right? So for example, in the Quran, we have a very clear law that tells us what is good and what is bad. So for example, we can't drink alcohol. We don't drink alcohol because Allah, the Creator, in His wisdom of knowing what is best for our bodies, He knows that alcohol is not good for us, right? Medical science tells us, yeah, there's no good in it. It actually has a lot of problems for your body physically, right? But that's not the reason we don't drink. We don't drink because God tells us not to drink, right? We can't smoke cigarettes. The Quran, the Quran tells us that we shouldn't ingest any type of intoxicants, and that it is against the essence of a Muslim, because our body is a trust from the Creator. It's on loan from the Creator, and we have to return it back to the Creator in a good way, in a good form, right? So, for example, if you borrowed something from somebody, you don't want to return it back damaged, right? So that's our body is on loan.
That's our responsibility to ensure you return back the same way you borrow, same way you know about it. Because you be a foul or not, you make a commitment with that.
Yeah.
And that's extremely important for a relationship.
Yeah.
And if you break that, then that person will never trust you again.
So then that's where, see, the Creator, He's very merciful to me and you, right? We break His trust often by engaging in sins. But He's so merciful to us that He will forgive us of any sin as long as we don't come with one sin and we die upon that sin. That sin is the sin of idol worship. So if we, for example, we take anything from the creation and we make it equal to the Creator, right? For example, if I look at the Hindu religion and they take statues and they bow down and they worship these statues and they claim that the Creator is in this statue, that's idol worship. God doesn't forgive that if they die upon that sin, right? The Christians, when they take Jesus, who was born of a woman, who had to eat and drink and use the washroom, when he was limited in his knowledge, he didn't have all knowledge according to the Bible. When he couldn't do anything by himself, he says that I of my own self can do nothing. This is not what we understand God to be. God is all powerful, God is all knowing, God is all wise. So we can't think that Jesus, a human being who's limited, is equal to the Creator. So if you believe that and you die upon that belief, that's committing idol worship. God won't forgive that, right? If any time you take anything from the creation and you make it equal to the Creator and you worship that along with the Creator, then you're doing idol worship. So that's the one thing God doesn't forgive.
Yes, and that's I understand that, and I agree on that.
Yeah. So as long as you believe in a Creator, and you believe that that Creator didn't create you for no reason, He created you for a purpose.
Each person has their
Yeah, so that's why it's important for us to now follow the guidance. Now that guidance tells us about things that are going to come in the future for our life, like there being a judgment day, right? And on that judgment day, me and you will be judged. What did we do in this life? How did we use our life? Did we listen to God? Did we follow His law? Did we stay away from what He told us to stay away from? Or did we follow our own desires and live this life without taking heed to His advice and to His commandments and to these kinds of things? That's where we want to make sure on the day of judgment, me and you can have an excuse before God to say, I followed your law. I didn't have an intention to willfully break it. I may have been a human being and I made mistakes, but I never believed that when I was making those mistakes that this law is not from the Creator. So as long as we believe that that law is from the Creator, and we do our best to try and implement that law, and we continuously seek forgiveness from the Creator for the mistakes that we do make, then by the will of God, we will be forgiven and we can enter heaven on the Day of Judgment.
We see about that.
Yeah, but
I hope we stay, I hope we live, 10 billion years now.
no, but our life is not that long.
I know.
Yeah, but for you, do you now believe that there is a Creator?
Yeah.
You do believe that there's a Creator. That's good.
Yes, I do.
So, if you believe there's a Creator, do you believe that He sent prophets so that we can be guided?
Yes.
Yes.
That's what you would do.
Okay, so if you believe that there's a Creator and you believe that He sent prophets, do you believe that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is that last and final messenger when he was given the Quran, which is that last revelation to mankind that has been preserved in the original form?
I probably my wife does. She's really heavy for
Your wife is a Muslim already?
Well, she's from Jamaica.
Okay.
So she's really heavy on it.
Oh, okay. These two pamphlets here, one is about the Prophet Muhammad and one is about the Quran. I'll give this to you so you can read up and learn more.
Okay.
But one thing that I want to say is, if you believe, because you already believe in a Creator, if you believe that the Prophet Muhammad is a true prophet, do you believe he's a true prophet?
Probably yes.
Probably yes. The reason why I say that, right? This Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, he was given the Quran, a revelation from the Creator, by the angel Gabriel. Now this Quran, it has many signs and evidences in it that tell us that it's from the Creator. For example, there's verses about the development of the embryo. There was a professor in Toronto, his name's Professor Keith Moore. He's an embryologist. Now this Professor Keith Moore, he looked at the verses about the development of the embryo in the Quran, and he saw that they were so accurate and so profound that he could not attribute that the knowledge within those verses could have been known to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, at that time in 6th century Arabia. So he attributed that it is not from him, it is likely from a supernatural source. Now he didn't accept Islam, but he admitted that those verses are not from, could have been known to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. So how did the Prophet Muhammad know that information? What we say is that he knew it because it was from our Creator who knows me and you the best, right? Furthermore, in the Quran, it talks about how the universe is expanding, right? Now, the scientific discovery that the universe is expanding, where I don't want to get too technical with scientific information for you, but
I have to cut short.
no problem.
Yes, I got ice cream in there.
No problem. No problem.
And two, I got to pick up the car.
No problem.
Yeah.
But something to think about is that it's mentioned in the Quran that the universe is expanding, and that was only discovered this century when we looked using a telescope and we saw that in the spectrum of the light spectrum there was a red shift, meaning that when light passes and moves out, you see a red shift as it gets colder, so it's moving farther away. So if that is happening, right, and then the universe is expanding, and that was only discovered now, how did the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, know that information 1400 years ago? It's because that information was from the Creator. So there's many reasons that I could give you why the Prophet Muhammad is a true prophet, but if you believe that, that makes you a Muslim.
Really?
Yeah. If you believe that there's a Creator, and you believe that the Prophet Muhammad is a true prophet, that makes you a Muslim. Do you believe those two things?
I do.
You do?
I do.
So I encourage you, what's your name?
Ron.
Ron. My name is Zayan. I encourage you, Brother Ron, that to accept Islam, to become a Muslim. And it's not hard. It's just,
Use your common sense.
it's just testifying two things. It's testifying what you already believe out loud. So it's just testifying that you believe that there is one Creator worthy of worship in truth, and that the Prophet Muhammad is his last and final messenger. If you believe that, you accept Islam and you can be a Muslim today. Do you want to do that?
Not right now.
Okay.
Right now,
I understand.
hold on.
Okay. If you do want to come back and take your Shahada, if it's raining, we'll be at King George.
Yep.
If it's sunny, we'll be at Holland Park. Every Saturday between 2 and 5 p.m.
Okay.
It was nice meeting you, bro.
All right, nice meeting you.
It was nice meeting you.
Yeah.
Have a good day, yeah?
You too.
Have a good one.